Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. In the next video of me converting my camper van, I've installed a diesel night heater. Now this is just a Chinese kit I ordered online, but before you think about installing one of these, there are some things that you should definitely think about and know about before. So I'll be going through all of that in this video, and I'll be letting you guys know how much it's all cost and what steps it's taken to get this kit installed. So if this video has been any help to you guys, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to follow the build on this camper van, because I've got plenty more to come. I've got a diesel night heater and it is a Chinese special. It's a copy. The genuine ones are like 400 quid. This was 80 quid on eBay. There are some things about this design that are crap. And if you installed it not correctly, you could probably kill yourself. I'm not even joking. It's not ideal. And I'll explain more as we go on. And I'm going to just take all this apart and fit it how I want to fit it. So then I know it's done right. But the actual heater itself is good. It's got its own little tank. But the design that I don't like is the bottom on here. See on here, you've got your air intake for the combustion and you've got exhaust. Now it's got these 4 plates here, so if this is sat on the floor of your van, like on here, you've got your exhaust coming through here and then through the floor. Now this is the exhaust, and it's, I mean look, it's a bit shit. And if that's not sealed properly on there, because it's not even like it's not even properly circular, I've got slight regret buying this. But look at that, it is not ideal. So basically, if that's not sealed properly on there, and you've got this thing running, and you're tucked up asleep in your camper, or your boat, or wherever you've got this thing installed, because it can go anywhere. I mean, I've seen people run houses on these and workshops. But anyway, if the exhaust gases are leaking in a small confined space, you've got this gases in the air, and then, you know, breathing enough of that and you'll stop breathing. So I know that sounds a bit morbid and negative, but I mean, if you fitted it correctly and did a decent job, then you'd probably be right. But I'm not going to risk it, so I'm going to take it all apart, get rid of the case, get rid of this thing here, and I'm gonna, you see that bottom piece there, I'm gonna mount that on, like, flat on the floor. So these exhaust port and the intake port are gonna be outside the van underneath. So even if this exhaust decides to leak, it won't matter because it's outside. So that's my thing. And the other thing I like, it's not even attached. I didn't even mean to do that. Oh, that one's all right. Oh, yeah. These fuel lines probably aren't amazing either. But you know, I've really bought this for the actual heater itself, the main little heater, and then you've got the little fuel tank. So I'm gonna strip it all down, take the bits I want off it. Why is that still on? Oh, that's it. Take the bits I want off it and throw it away. So that's going to go in the bin, don't want that. I'll be keeping the actual fuel tank. The other thing that, right, this fuel tank here, right, I don't know if you can see, but look where the pipe, hold on, look where the pipe goes in there. So this is what, I don't know, what, 3 litre tank? So you've got your fuel in here, look how high the pipe is that'll suck the fuel out. It's like, I don't know, a centimetre above the bottom of the tank. So you're going to waste, like, how much is going to be in the bottom there? I don't know, like, half a litre maybe? Just sat there that can't be used because that's been put too far up. You'd have thought they'd have made this whole thing so it's like tapered and then put that at the bottom. So it could literally use every drop of fuel in here. So that's a bit of a crap design. So yeah, I'm going to take the rest of it apart. We'll have a gander. See this little switch back here? I want to mount that under my switch panel here. Say at night, gets a bit cold, and I'm laid in my bed because my bed goes all the way across here. This is why I built this custom cabinet, so it sits perfectly with the bed. So anyway, so I want that switch panel there, so on a night, if it gets a bit chilly, I can just go on, done. You know what I mean? I don't have to dig about or whatever. And there is actually, I'm pretty sure there's a remote with it as well, actually. Yeah, there's a remote with it. So, we'll strip it down, have a look, and see what we've got to work with, and then figure out a way to install it nicely. Look at that. Not ideal. Yeah. I have taken to pieces. Now, I just wanted to have a good look. Wiring loom, yeah, looks okay. It's fused, thankfully. When I wire it up to my fuse box, it's gonna have 2 fuses on it basically. But you know, that's not so bad. It looks okay. The plugs look alright. The terminals are a tiny bit loose when you move the cables about, but once it's plugged in, it should be fine. So I'm not worried about that. That's all right. Fuel lines, absolute garbage. Throw these in the bin straight away. They're so soft, and they're going to react with fuel pretty much straight away. And get some like small Jubilee clips. I mean, look at that. I can just pretty much, I'm doing this one-handed. I can, yeah, get rid of them. They're crap. And get a proper inline fuel filter, because that's like, I mean, it's meant to be a little fuel strainer, but man, that's terrible. So get rid of the fuel lines, get a proper fuel filter. All of that's going to go in the bin. Don't want that. What I might do, because obviously this is going to go through the bottom of the car, I might cut this piece off here and use this plate to cut a big square on the floor, put the plate on it, and then have that go through it. And that actually might go on the underside of the car. So when this bolts down, that'll like clamp up. So I might actually just cut that out and use that, because there are ones you can buy, and I'll put a link in the description to show you guys which I mean, and I'll put a photo up as well. But you can buy proper made ones if you want, but I'm going to use that and cut it out because it's free. These covers and stuff, yeah, that looks all right. That's fine. You're going to need to keep them, and it's got like a rubber seal. I'm guessing it's going to be heat proof is that one, so that looks all right. Exhaust looks absolutely garbage. This is the little back box, and that little bracket there, that looks garbage as well, so I'm probably going to make something else for that. Moving on, I've kind of redone all my floor, got rid of all the wood underneath there, got rid of all the foam underneath there, so it's just metal, and I've carpeted the rest, so it looks kind of nice. This piece here I've cut out, so there's nothing anywhere near this where it gets hot. So I was going to mount this further that way, but underneath the van there's like 2 structure base braces, and there is like right where one sort of sits, so this is pretty much the best possible place to have it. So this is going to sit like there-ish, so cold air is going to go in here, hot air is going to come out there, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to notch out this bit of foam here because it's quite thick, and then I'm going to use the air ducting, and it's going to curve around there, and I'm going to do a nice little vent there. I've got my hole cut out, and yeah, that's how it looks. It looks pretty awful, but you can, it's a bit dark, but there's a beam there and there's a beam that side, so I'm literally right in the middle, and yeah, it does look crap. But the base plate of the actual stand I have saved and reused, and I folded it to the shape of that, so that'll sit on there, and it sits over all the holes perfectly. So what I'm going to do, you're going to use this high temp silicone sealer that I've got, and I'm going to seal round the edge underneath it, and then I'll probably do it on the sort of outside edge of that, just to make sure it's really sealed. You'll never guess what's happened. We've got a power cut. Zero electric in the house, and the missus is like, oh no, what can we do? Gonna have to come out and work on van, aren't I? Because I've got my solar panel charging my batteries, so I'm good in here. So working on the van tonight. Wasn't meant to be. Don't try not to do like working on van on weekends. I'll try and do it through weeknights, because then weekends family time. The plate's on. I've put seal around it, so that's all sealed on and nice. So now all I've really got to do is bolt it in, and then sort the fuel lines out. I'll go get my fuel lines now, and my fuel filter, I've got one of them as well, and some proper Jubilees. We'll start putting this thing together and see if we can get fired up tonight. I don't have any diesel, but I've got an idea, and I will show you how I'm gonna steal diesel from the van later. All right, so I've got the diesel heater all bolted down. The fuel tank's going to sit there, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the fuel pipe along here underneath. Then I'm going to mount my fuel pump, and then basically drill a hole through here to go underneath to where the fuel goes in. And what I'll show you guys now is underneath. All right, so this is how it looks underneath, and this is like the very small spot you can get it in this location. You can see you couldn't go further down because of that beam. You couldn't go further in because that one. And then there, but what I quite like is it's sort of a nice little cutout area for it to be. And then if you go further that way, you've got all the fuel tank. So I'm going to mount the exhaust like around here and have it coming out, and then the intake I'm going to put further up, sort of towards the fuel tank side. I've got a proper fuel filter. I've got my little clips, and then I've got some proper rated fuel line. Now, it's hard to do this one hand when I'm trying to record. Look at the thickness of the wall there compared to this one here. I'm going to try and put it together. There you go. Proper thick. Like, I can't even squeeze that. It's really tough. And then that stuff is just, yeah. I couldn't recommend doing this more. So, proper fuel filter, proper fuel line. I've got my fuel pipe from the tank to the filter, straight through there to the pump, and then it goes through. It's a bit dark. It goes just straight through and then connects underneath the bottom. So it's a super simple sort of setup. The little line there. The wiring's done, and this is the other fuse on this. And the reason I put it on my fuse box in there is because I don't know how much I trust this Chinesian wire. And for, you know, there's another thing. Look how thick this wire is here compared to that. You know, when you're doing cabling for powers, you want to keep the cable exactly the same size, because a large, thicker cable, it produces more resistance against the flow and the current. And you've got a really little thin one there, which is kind of odd to me. Because if you did this like on a 12-volt battery, you know, and you were pulling a lot of feed off, and you had a thick bit and a thin bit, you know, you can actually burn through the thin bits because there's too much power going through them. But anyway, that's how we're looking so far. All I need to do now is do the exhaust and intake. That's my exhaust. I chopped it down. I didn't want it stupidly long because it's pretty much like weather protected under there. So that's that. And then my intake goes up there and then up and above the tank. So that's nicely out of the way. So that's pretty much it. That's how I've done it. I really haven't chosen the easiest place to put one of these. Getting them nuts in and Jubilees tight has been a pain. But the moment of truth. Let's try and fire this thing up. I'm just stealing diesel from myself. These got electric pump in the tank, and I've just taken this pipe off, and I might have to do this once or twice. Oh, she's nearly full, and then I'm going to tip that in my tank and fire it up. Not bad, not bad. Alright, so it's the moment of truth. I've got all my vent plumbed in and my Jubilees all correctly fitted. I've got my controller all turned on and switched on. All my fuel's in. And that is the temperature right now in this van, 5 degrees Celsius. It is pretty cold. The windows are pretty steamed up. So let's get this thing fired up and get some heat coming out. I can already feel the air coming out of there. Obviously it's cold yet, but I'll tune back in with you guys when we've got some heat coming out of this thing. Right, she's fired up. You can hear it going, you can hear the pump ticking. It took about 10 minutes for it to bleed all these lines and get the fuel going before it started firing up. But we're about there now. But one thing to mention, this vent I put in, it's melted the fly net. So if you're putting one of these vents in, be careful. Now, I've adjusted things on the settings since. I will admit the settings on this book and the instructions aren't ideal. So I'll just sort of run through how it goes. So that's the time. That's the voltage of your battery. That's the temperature I've set it to run at, and then when it gets to 18 degrees, it'll just turn off. That's the temperature of the combustion inside there, how hot the actual machine is inside the burner. It's not a cylinder, but yeah, that's how hot that is. And then that's how hot it is in here. So it's running really well now. So with my in particular one, there's two settings, right? 2 kilowatt or 5 kilowatt power. So I've turned it down from 5 to 2, and there's actually settings, if you read through this booklet, of how many milliliters of fuel you want the pump to push through. So I've turned that right down as well, because obviously my van's not very big, so I don't need it to be very, very powerful. So I've turned that down, and it's perfect now. That's like not hot, and it's not going to melt this. But what I'm going to do is probably order another one and make sure it's heat proof. So I don't really know how hot that did get, but obviously it was hot enough to kill this. I don't know if this fly net that I had on the vent sort of blocked the airflow and made it, and then that caused it to get hot. But I'm going to run it now up to 18 degrees and see if it turns off. I'm nearly there, but man, it's nice and warm in the van now. And everything looks all right. I've checked underneath, it's running good. The only thing I'll say is when the pump's on, you can hear the pump ticking. It's a bit annoying. But like, when it's closed, the cabinet, you can't really hear it. You can just hear the airflow. It'd be nice to see if you could like just turn the fan down so it's just slowly heating, but I'm not sure if you can on these. And just like that, I'm so glad I clicked record then. I was sat here watching this thing for ages, but I set it to go on at 18, and well, sorry, I set it to turn off at 18, and it's turned off at 18. So if you're asleep in here on a night and you want, I mean, I'll probably turn it a bit further down than 18. That is a bit hot for me, but it works. So I'm pretty happy with this thing. All right, guys, that's going to be about it for this video. It's been a good install. I'm glad I've done it. It just took a bit of research to get it all worked out and get things working how I wanted it. But yeah, we're finally there. If you've got any questions, let me know in the comments. And if it's been helpful, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. All right, guys, I'll catch you in the next video.